dear Professor Bodan Moise, Dean of Faculty of Theology of the University of Constanța, dear Professor Joan Dura, and dear Professor, my colleagues. First of all, I express my thankful to all of you. For me, this opportunity to express my presentation for the second time in this wonderful meeting group. I totally agree with Professor Joan Dura. The conference is the conference to friendship and the meeting about friendship. Why I said that? Because I talk about the Confucianism. And in a long time in our Asian history, as well as in East Asia history, we have some century of the not so good history of relationship between our traditional with Christianity for some centuries. Besides the economic and political factors, we need to focus on ideological and cultural factor. And if we can solve that misunderstanding, we can easily solve the conflict between West and East, between the tradition of Confucianism and the Western kind of Western Christianity. And when I talk about the human nature and authenticity in Confucianism, I remember the theologian Hans Kung. When Hans Kung comparing two great men, Confucius and Jesus Christ, he pointed out the four similarities between two great men. The first that they are both Confucius and Jesus Christ both live in chaotic society, and they have mission to preach the message of social and human reform. And the second, both are looking for disciplines for their students from different classes to continue the mission. The first that both attract great importance to traditional remodeling, completing the traditional street. And the fourth that both criticize bad situation of reason, not reason, but most fundamental question of society and of human being. We can see the Confucius and Jesus Christ or the other, for example, Buddha or Socrates. We can see them have found out the most basic problem of society and human being. And what is the human nature and authenticity in Confucianism? The first of all, we can solve the what is the human being and what is the human nature. The human nature belong to Confucianism and belong to Christianity. It's good or it's bad. It's goodness or it's evil. And we can where we can put two theology with each other, we can see the theology of original goodness of human nature of Confucianism and theology of original sins of Christianity. They have conflict between each other. For example, in Confucianism, in very basically in elementary school, we have to learn the teachings of three words. They teach every student, small student, that the original nature of all man was good. It's the first word every student has to learn, that the original nature of all men was good. But in opposite side, in Christianity, is original sin. original sin. So the nature of goodness and the orientation to do good is the basic Confucian thought, and the Christian doctrine of original sin cannot be accepted that human beings are therefore inclined toward evil. We try to explain to solve the conflict problem between two traditions. The dilemma of two positions. If the nature of good and has a tendency toward good, where does evil come from? If human nature is good, now where is evil? Where does evil come from? And that is a question that Christianity can ask Confucianism, and Confucianism can ask Christianity. If the nature of people is evil, or if the nature of people turn to evil, where does good come from? This is the question of motives from 5th-6th century is posed and is still relevant today. And in my opinion, in fact, Confucian scholars do not absolutely agree with Mencier's view of the good nature. I will come back to Mencier's point of view later. But they can also accept the evil nature of another Confucius member. For them, it is important to cultivate or to maintain good or to reserve evil to become a gentleman, become a good man. That is most important to cultivate to educate ourselves. Original sin in Christianity is not an argument that determines whether human nature is good or evil, but it is intended to explain where evil arises and why people can and should be saved. It's the first. And the second, we talk about authenticity. Authenticity, we have to solve the problem between autonomy and heteronomy. The problem of contradiction between autonomy and heteronomy is mainly the relationship between the immanent and the transcendental. This is very important when we see the Western tradition mostly forward to the transcendental. But we in Oriental philosophy, we still have transcendental, but we call immanent transcendent. Confucianism and Buddhist philosophy emphasize autonomy and self and regard self cultivation as essential to attaining the goal of humanity or Buddha nature. In contrast, Christianity believes that God is creator, create man from nothing, and thus, in order to exist, man must unite with God and develop and reach fullness. Man must transcend oneself and supply all things. The two directions. In fact, there is no contrast between the Confucianism and Christianity as there is between Buddhism and Christianity. Since prehistoric time, Chinese philosophy has had both immanent and transcendent dimension. It's not only transcendent and it's not only immanent. Both autonomy and heteronomy, as we see them understanding the concept of heaven or heaven mandate, we can talk about later. In Christianity theology, we see the understanding of God, which is both positive and negative, and at the same time internal and external, or immanent and the transcendent. Therefore, spirituality cannot be without a subject. But at the same time, the spirituality is not the result of asceticism, but the process by which man cooperate with the grace of God. And the third, from the above two issues lead to other opposing problems, such as religion depend on morality, or morality depend on religion. For a religion conception inherent in the world, that religious values is identified with morality. But in the opposite, the religion that emphasizes transcendence, so morality needs the impetus and strength of grace of the religion, we said about grace of God. Taking morality as the basis of religion, they emphasize on unified practice, while the point of view take belief as a basic for action. Knowledge is belief. I totally agree with Professor Bean. Just talk about what is knowledge. It's ultimate knowledge. It's universal knowledge because it's not only the knowledge between human being and the nature, not the knowledge between human being together, but between the human being and the transcendence. It's ultimate concern. So that belief guide pupil actions. We can see in our tradition. It's not far from with Christianity. In fact, when advocating that people have a good nature and tend to be good, Confucianism believes that it is an innate destiny. Though future moral action also depend on this sort of divine destiny. In Christianity, this dependence not only comes from the place of origin, but place of origin is place of our nature, but continue throughout the journey of human being, of being a human. The above opposite are only emphatic point, not contradiction, because they are essentially the same. So we come back to what is the human nature in Confucianism. We can see the Mencius point, and we every because the founder of Confucianism, the Confucius, he maybe he didn't talk about the human nature. Just one question, just one sentence. He said that by nature, men are nearly alike. They get to be wide apart. This sentence, there are two meanings. This, we don't know the human nature is good or bad, is good or evil. And the second, the human nature can be changed. Because the human nature at the first time they are be alike. But because the society they will be disparate. But to the measures focus on the nature of good of human being. Measures say that from the feeling proper to it, it is to constitute for the practice of what is good. This what I mean in saying that the nature of good, the nature is good is what Mencius talk about. If men do what is not good, the blame cannot be imputed to their natural powers. The feeling of commiseration belong to all men. So does that one shame and dislike. So this he found that we in human nature there is one thing. It's a priori. It's called commiseration. And this commiseration is the source of benevolence, the source of our virtue. But we can describe human nature is good. Human nature is substance is good, or its tendency to good. We have to focus on this, because if substance is good, we cannot explain why there is a evil, where evil come from. But we have to mention it. We can interpret the nature is good. Is the human being, the nature of human being is tendency to good, because we have inside a seed of good, So that Mencius said that whereby man differ from lower animal is very small. This sentence very important. Human being and animal, the difference between two very small. It's like an animal. If we don't focus on our virtue, if we don't focus on our knowledge, if we don't re-cultivate ourselves every day, so we will easily become an animal. So from this point, we can easily to reach to the original sin theory, because we are sinner. This easily to understand from Confucian point of view. And maybe we have finished here, and thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.